I want to bring in Hasan Unal, who is the head of the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Maltepe University, and he joins me now in the studio. It's good to have you on. I want to start off with sort of, if you could put into perspective for our viewers, what Turkey has learned in the last 3 years.
Well, Turkey has learned quite a lot, basically, as a result of the attempted coup 3 years ago. In terms of its foreign relations, for instance, Turkey learned quite a bit. It has certainly drawn lessons. I mean, we can ask questions, for instance, about what might have happened had the coup been successful. For instance, one question would be, could Turkey have actually normalized and improved its relations with Russia? Remember what happened? We were having very bad relations with our neighbor because of the shooting down of a Russian fighter jet by Turkey. And it's not, is it a coincidence, for instance, if we ask the question, that the coup attempt came about just few months after Turkey began to initiate efforts to normalize its relations with Russia? You can also ask another question. Could Turkey, for instance, have carried on with its fight against the PKK both inside Turkey and outside Turkey had the coup been successful? And again, is it just coincidence, sheer coincidence, that the coup took place, basically, the coup, attempted coup took place only a couple of years after Turkey changed its strategy against the PKK and began a serious fight against the PKK, both inside Turkey and also outside Turkey, particularly in Syria. This is important because it is where the United States was bolstering up the PYD. And it was again where the United States was trying to create a corridor linking this PYD-controlled areas to the Mediterranean. So Turkey basically prevented all that. So you can also ask the question, could Turkey have actually undertaken the military operations had the coup been successful? The Euphrates Shield and the Olive Branch Afrin operations, could Turkey have done all of that had the coup been successful? I would easily say no. And therefore, I mean, could we have had a Turkey now doing all this search and drilling for oil and natural gas in the Eastern Mediterranean? I would again say, well, I would very much doubt about it, that Turkey would have been doing all that, because these are all the foreign policy dynamics to the coup.
These are some very interesting things that you're saying, but I have to ask you, Hasan, so what you're saying is that there could be sort of larger figures, larger hands at play behind the curtain. So tell me who's behind the curtain and how relations. I know you mentioned Russia. I know you mentioned it's Turkey's ability to conduct cross-border operations in Syria, but you haven't touched upon the United States.
Well, where is the coup ringleader? Where is the resident? And why hasn't been transferred to Turkey? Why hasn't been extradited?
Well, I can tell you what the U.S. Justice Department's
of course, yes, the usual story. Then it takes, it's a lawsuit, but then it takes several years. Then you've got to make a proper application, and then it has to be basically sorted out this way and the other. Okay, but then why did the coup attempt come about after Turkey basically changed its policy and strategy in various ways towards the PKK, towards Russia, towards what was happening in Syria in particular, when the PYD, the US-backed PYD...
So this is not just coincidence, then?
Well, I wouldn't say. I mean, if we believe that this was all coincidence, then we would be living in a fool's paradise.
Okay. Şener Aktürk, who was actually on the show here on set, earlier on in the evening, and he said that sort of the Fetullah Terrorist Organization is kind of, well, he brought up the point that it had been portrayed, interpreted as maybe America's Frankenstein. sort of, there's going to come a point where it's going to realize that it's going to be out of control, but we're not at that point yet?
Well, whether it may basically get to that extent with regard to its relations with the United States or not, because after all, now that organization's wings have been clipped, particularly in Turkey. It is no longer as strong as it used to be. Say 5 years ago, for instance, it was like almighty across Turkey. But it's been basically fought back, and now it's been reduced to an embryonic thing, whatever it is now. But what it is here is the United States basically mollycoddling this organization has certainly strained the United States' relations with Turkey. And it has done so at a time when the world has evolved into a multipolar world. And that is no longer a good thing. Maybe we can talk about it at a later stage. But what it is this has poisoned Washington-Ankara relations. And I think it is going to remain as a serious factor in the bilateral relations between the two countries.
All right, Hasan, thank you very much.